Welcome, everybody, back to the Nuggets of Gold podcast and YouTube channel. So the 49ers just absolutely decimated the Falcons today, 31-13. But I think the biggest story was how good the defensive line played. And I think that should have been expected. I mean, the expectations for this defensive line heading into the season were very high. And over the last maybe 6 weeks or so, we've really seen them start to mesh. We've seen Nick Bosa get into a whole nother level. And I don't even think his 2019 season can resemble what he's put up this year. He has been a monster today, or this year, today as well. Arden Key, he is becoming a serious threat on the inside. He did have a sack today, should have had two, but that really, really bad roughing the passer penalty. I mean, I know that they're trying to start, showing those calls where it's like, oh, the body weight or whatever, but even I don't know which ref it was. I think it was Gene. I forget his last name. He comes on. He's like, yeah, I don't really know if that's a penalty. Should have had 2 sacks today. Jordan Willis, he's providing pressure. Eric Armstead, we saw him make a couple big plays in the run game. I know there was a 4th down where he had great contain, and then the guy to bounce back in, and then I think it was Fred Wynn made the play. So maybe not a ton from Eric Armstead in terms of pass rushing, but the defensive line has been great. Today, of 35 dropbacks, 27 times Matt Ryan was pressured. That is a team effort. That is this defensive line performing really well. Samson Ebukam today, we haven't really heard his name that much. And early in the downs, because he is more of a base down player, like they've just typically used him there and taken him off the field on 3rd down. You usually see Jordan Willis in there. But we saw him come in, and he provided a lot of pressure on those early downs because the Falcons were down and they had to kind of start scoring. Defensive line balled today. Fred Warner as well. He's going to be on the cover of this video. He was amazing. I think this is a Fred that we had kind of been hoping to see. I think one of my keys to this game was you got to have Fred go out there and play like a blue chip caliber player. He did today. Him and Bosa were phenomenal. Jimmy Ward, this might be his best season that he's had so far. He has been extraordinary in the secondary, especially with a group of guys. The corners today, Josh Norman, he got toasted once, but outside of that, made a couple good tackles. Wasn't a bad day from him, I don't think. Ambry Thomas, though, he got toasted a bunch. But you're looking at this game, you hold the Falcons to 0 for 3 on 4th down. You have the goal line stand to start the game. What a statement that was. That was incredibly impressive. And then you hold them again in the red zone. So 3 4th downs, you hold them on all of them. Jimmy Ward had a monster tackle in the other red zone one. But this is a team that defensively looked really good, and they are missing multiple starters. Azeez Al-Shaair didn't play today, and he has been amazing this year. This has been his best season. We have a lot of guys that over these last 6 weeks are putting up such good late season surges that is pushing them into wow, this has been their best career year. That's what you want to see from a defense. D'Amico Ryans, got to tip your cap to him. I was definitely a little harsh on him early on. But when you have a rookie play caller, sometimes it takes him a little while to get comfortable with making some of these decisions. And I think that we've seen D'Amico really step up lately. And I think we've seen him understand his players and really put them in better spots. Ambry Thomas, he's not, I mean, at least you hope that he doesn't start in the playoff game. If you have Emmanuel Mosley back, you have Azeez back, and you have a healthy defense. Those are the 2 guys I think you're really hoping get back. Dre Greenlaw as well. That is going to make a elite front 7. And then in terms of the secondary, Norman's your number 2, Eman's your number 1. You have 2 safeties that are very, very good. And Jimmy Ward's been great. I don't know. I mean, Kowalski's kind of banged up right now. You want to see him get healthy. But this defense was awesome today. I mean, this is what we want to see. And this is how they've been down the stretch. So if they can continue to play like this, you're going to see them do great. Now, I get that it was the Falcons, not like a great offensive team at all by any standards. But you got to take care of business. And you looked at how important this game was. Yes, the Falcons are, I think, ranked 32nd in DVOA. So, they're not a very good team. However, they're 6-7, and they have a chance today to come in and take that 6th spot from the 49ers. The 49ers take care of business. Awesome on defense. Offensively, I really liked how they looked as well. No mistakes from Jimmy Garoppolo. No turnovers by the offense. George Kittle, another great performance. We saw him kind of get targeted early. Deebo Samuel had the rushing touchdown. You saw him a little bit more in the receiving game, 10 touches for him. Brandon Ayuk only had 1 catch, but I think that's just really because they kind of went away from the passing game. Jeff Wilson Jr., we were hoping that he was going to be an X factor a couple weeks ago. This is the week where he steps up. He does great. So potentially Elijah Mitchell will not be back next week on that Thursday night game. I think it's still to be determined. Don't take it that he's out yet, but there are some doubts about him being ready. Jeff Wilson showed today, hey, he can step up. He can be a really good player. He can be a good running back. This was his best game of the year for sure. And I think he's still recovering from some knee stuff. We've also seen a couple setbacks with him. So good to see that he's back looking good. Jimmy Garoppolo, though, very, very solid performance by him. 18-23, 235, one touchdown. Not anything crazy, but he goes out there, does his job, plays well. And what happens when he does that? The 49ers win. When he comes out and he doesn't turn the ball over, they win football games. It's been that simple. The final thing I want to touch on, the special teams unit has been absolutely horrible this year. JaMychal Hasty muffs the first kickoff. It literally starts like, wow, this is going to be the worst start you could possibly have. The Falcons go, they score, then they overturn it, and you do have that goal line stand. But this game can look a lot different if you go down 7-0 right there, right from the start, and then JaMychal Hasty also muffs the next one. Also, the Falcons return game, they're gashing it. They're getting like 35, 40 yards on some of these. That cannot happen. And I think it was John Middlecoff tweeted out, at this point, it's on Kyle. Like, Hightower's been awful, but like you need to see changes. I hope that we do see those changes. And the 49ers this year, you look at the defense, you look at the offense, some of those changes that I think like any spectators watching were like, oh, you got to do this. You need to make improvements here. We've seen them make those changes. Now they need to do it to the special teams unit because it has been flat out horrific. They probably have the worst special teams unit right now. I don't really know how you grade it, but from my eyes, I've watched, the other special teams units around the league. I don't know of one that has like had their team get taken out of games because of their special unit as much as the 49ers and had these factors, multiple fumbles, great opposing return game. Like Hightower, I think Hightower will be, I don't know if he's fired, but he's probably not going to be the special teams coordinator next year because it has been awful this year. So that's probably the one spot where I think everyone's a little bit like, all right, this is getting pretty ridiculous, but offense looked really good. When they needed to score, they put up 31. They didn't score at the beginning, then they put up 31 and they just chew down the clock. Like if they wanted to today, they could have put up 45. Like it wasn't a matter of, and 31 is still pretty good, but it's like they could have put up over 40 today. That's how good their offense played. So like I said, this isn't an opponent that it's like, oh, like you should just try to scrape this one out. But they went and they took care of business and they showed, yes, we are clearly a playoff team. They have basically clinched the playoffs at this point. They own a lot of tiebreakers. They're 8-6. I think that 9 games probably gets you into the playoffs. And potentially, let's see what happens with the Seahawks, with the Cardinals. They actually have a chance to still finish the top of the division. The Cardinals have games against the Cowboys, I think the Ravens, and the Seahawks. I might be wrong on the Ravens. That might be the one I'm not sure on. But the Rams play the Ravens, and then they play the Niners, and I forget who the other team they play is. So, these teams, and the Rams only need to lose one. The Cardinals would need to lose out, and the Niners would need to win out. So if the Niners win these next 3 games, the Cardinals lose their next 3, and the Rams lose 1 game and then lose to the 49ers in Week 18, the Niners will be in first place. I don't think that's super likely, but it is a possibility, and it is pretty crazy considering how this year started. So amazing day today for the 49ers. You pretty much clinched the playoffs. You put yourself in a great spot. If you go, you have the short week against the Titans. Now, my birthday is this week. The only thing I want for my birthday is health and a victory from the 49ers on Thursday and honestly, I would rather them come away with no injuries than a win on Thursday Night Football. That's how scared I am of these Thursday night games. We have seen teams' seasons derailed. I think earlier this year, you saw how hot the Panthers started, and you saw McCaffrey go down, and that completely changed their season. I get that they've had bad quarterback play. McCaffrey would help a lot with that. So you're looking at some of these teams, and like you've had some significant injuries on Thursday Night Football. Do not want to see that. But I'll talk more about that Titans matchup. I think it's a really fun one. Titans team that almost was number 1 in the AFC after today, but they ended up losing to the Steelers. The Niners should take care of business there. They should take care of business against the Texans. And depending on what this Rams game looked like, it could mean a ton. If that game is for the division, how sick would it be to have Sunday Night Football, similar to how it was in 2019, where the Niners are going in, trying to win a game on the road, Sunday Night Football prime time, to go jump up and get a home, not a home field advantage for the whole playoffs, but get home field in the first round. That would be awesome. Cardinals are slumping heavily. You lose to the Lions today. That was awful. But 49ers take care of business. They dominated the Falcons today. Love to see what I saw out of their defense. Really should have only given up 6 points, because that sack by Arden Key that got called back ended up immediately turning into a touchdown. That's 6 points if you take that away. And I think that sack pushed them out of field goal range. So great performance. 3 fourth down stops. couldn't really ask for more from the defense, especially when it's so shorthanded. Emmanuel Mosley, please get healthy. 49ers, please do not get hurt. Keep this second half surge going. And, very, very good spot the Niners in right now, winning 5 of their last 6. So hopefully they can keep going and make this playoff push at the end of the year, because while their team, they do have to win games how they play, like they have to play their style of football. They got to chew out the clock. They have the personnel to do it. Offensively, if Debo, Kittle, Ayuk are healthy and they can run the football, they can compete with any single team. And if the pass rush is working like it is, they absolutely can. So hopefully we'll see them make a little run, but never know. I definitely think that if they are a wild card team, they are probably the number 1 team that you're taking to pull off an upset in that opening round. Maybe the Rams too, but pumped for how this year has gone. And I love the turnaround that we've seen. A lot of these key guys, George Kittle, Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Jimmy Ward, these guys are absolutely turning around, and we are seeing blue chippers be blue chippers this year. So the guys that need to carry are carrying. And that's what makes football great, is because you can have these guys take over games. And Nick Bosa has done that in the second half of this season, like nobody else. He should be the comeback player of the year, and he should be the defensive player of the year, in my opinion. That's how good of a season he's had. And I think it's going to keep getting better over these next 3 weeks. I think that he could very well lead the league in sacks. And he was 1 away, I think, from Myles Garrett in pressures, or maybe it's hurries. So he should be one of the top guys at that list as well. But monster season from him. He needs to get to the respect that he deserves. So outside that, though, big win. They take care of business. I'll maybe be back tomorrow talking stuff. I'm not quite sure, but I'll definitely get some preview stuff for the Titans game as well. So hopefully they go and win that one. Need Elijah Mitchell healthy. Need Emmanuel Mosley healthy. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's episode. So thank you all for listening. I'll be back very soon with 49ers content.